A few minutes later.
Yo, what's up, guys? Another Zwift race for you. Not 80 kilometers like the last one. This is a shorter one, kind of standard for Zwift. This is a 25-kilometer race on the loop-to-loop course, which you'll see a profile in the upper right. Kind of rolling, really just one main feature on this course, which is this short but really punchy climb that we're going to tackle once about halfway through the race, and then, of course, again, about 4 kilometers before the finish of this race, because we're doing 2 laps on the loop-to-loop course. So just diving right in here, you're going to see, oh, I got a power-up. You'll notice that there are only 2 power-ups available, by the way. I got the draft power-up here. There's also a lightweight power-up. Those are the only 2 options in this series. The lightweight's the way to go. With this feature, short, punchy climb, the power-up's going to be the one you're looking after, the one that you want to get, the one that's going to help you win this race. And I did not have a lot of time to warm up, and if I remember correctly, was it this one? Yeah, this guy just kind of rolls off the front, and the guy in front of me puts on the afterburners. When you see those orange numbers on the right, 11.3 watts per kilogram, like, that's a lot of power. All of a sudden, I'm stuck in this awkward position. I'm, like, not really ready for this effort, but despite how my little avatar looks, I am kind of smashing here, close to over 500 watts, because I was like, I don't want to lose the race in the first 1 minute. So I have to just kind of, I don't like making this effort. Again, it looks, now that I'm looking back, it looks very simple here, but another indication is the bottom left there. You see all the red colors there in my power profile at the bottom left. That's an indication of an unsustainable effort, but I do in fact make it to this lead group. And honestly, we almost just snuck away, the 4 of us, super early on. I think that would be a first. I haven't done many Zwift races, but that definitely would have been a first. Break away this early in the race. Oh, and then Green Bike here, the guy in the Pro kit, the Sunweb kit. I doubt he's actually on that team, but he's going to be consequential. Keep an eye out for him. But for now, we're going to go through these rolly courses, and you're going to see we're all going to come back together, save for maybe 2 or 3 riders who got dropped based on that first effort. All right, so still super early on, and I'm popping the drafting bonus, guys. That's because what I'm doing is I'm looking at the upper right. I'm seeing that little tiny downhill into that green dot, which represents another gate where we're going to get a power-up. So I may as well use the drafting bonus. I timed this so perfectly. I'm just kind of proud of myself because I'm figuring out Zwift racing. And you maximize the effect. The faster you go, the better the drafting is. And if you're getting a bonus with this drafting boost, that's the perfect place to use it. And you can see, again, the bottom left, those gray numbers, I'm doing like 100 watts. I'm saving a lot of energy. Heart rates come down. Despite that initial effort, we're at 144 beats per minute. And as long as you're using your bonus, you can collect the new one in that gate. So you can see what I got here. It was the other one. This featherweight represents a lightweight boost, which lasts whatever it is. Somebody's going to know in the comments. You guys can let me know. 30 seconds or something like that. This is what I wanted. I'm going to probably hang on to this. I think I hang on to this to the climb. Let's actually fast forward and find out. But actually, before we get there, a few guys here tried kind of a sneaky move on one of the rollers. But honestly, this course just isn't hard enough to brute force your way into a breakaway outside of that main climb feature, which we're just a few kilometers away from hitting now. So, yeah, I mean, we're going hard. We're going uphill right now. It was tempting to use that lightweight power-up, but I'm going to hang on to it because, like I said, between here and the bottom of the main feature, that climb, there's really not much, and I want to make sure I'm saving that power-up for when it matters most. It has the most impact. All right, so that's exactly where we are now, coming into the bottom of the climb. Now, I've positioned myself towards the front, but not on the front. This is intentional because you want to give yourself every advantage you can. Oftentimes, the difference on these really short, punchy climbs of making the lead group and getting dropped comes down to just a few bike lengths. So I'm right towards the front. That gives me a little bit of leeway to drop back a bit if I need to. Now, I've saved that power up. Let's not forget. Now, I probably should have popped it here, to be honest. You see a lot of other people are. Those dark red slivers mean that it's really steep, and I'm really going to benefit from that power up. It's 11% right here. I probably should have popped it. But I'm going to hang on to it for a minute longer. There's a little group rolling off the front. This looks threatening. We have the camera turned on in the bottom left. Now, a lot of people commented in my last Zwift video about how low my RPMs are. I'm at 70 RPMs now, 72. Now, this is lower than I normally would be, but let me explain what's going on here. So I can be out of the saddle standing like I am here with no consequence in Zwift land, right? Like I'm not getting hit with a headwind or anything like that. So aerodynamics doesn't matter when I'm standing up. And that allows me to do a lot more of that. I can generate a little bit more power. Now in a real race outside in real life racing, I am seated a lot more. It lowers my center of gravity. It makes me faster at cornering. And also, it makes me more aerodynamic. The lower you are, the more aero you are, the better you are at cornering. So I'm spending a lot more time in real life racing at a higher RPM, seated, lower center of gravity, more aero. Anyway, with that said, now I'm at the front. Now, I don't need to force the issue here. I happen to be making pretty good power. You can see, like, it's a hard climb, you guys. I mean, what I average, something like 500 watts for this climb. Very unsustainable. But I see the damage behind, and I don't want to just completely ease off, so I'm just going to continue to push it right over the crest of this hill and just make sure we have separation to those stragglers because, yeah, my strength is in the final 200 meters of this race. As a sprinter, I want to just be in the front group. It doesn't really matter. I don't mind coming to the front with, you know, a group of 10, a group of 20 or whatever. I'd rather sprint from a group of 7 than 15 or 20. So that's why I just continued on the power as we continue to go uphill. And I got another power up here, another featherweight power up. I think I'm going to hang on to that for the time being. Let's see how the second lap of this race plays out. But not before mentioning the sponsor of today's video, Kask, with their new Nirvana road cycling helmet, an all-out aero offering which has a claimed 35% reduction in drag compared to the competition. But at what cost? That's what I wanted to figure out when they first sent this. Because when you get a helmet like this, which starts to blur the line between a time trial helmet and a road helmet, there are drawbacks. Number one is weight, because you'll probably notice the defining feature of this helmet are these fairings that go over your ears. The Nirvana is 296 grams, and the Utopia Y, probably my favorite Kask helmet, is 259 grams. Now, the second and more important consideration is heat dissipation, because you could take all the aerodynamic performance in the world and throw it out the window. If you're overheating, it doesn't mean anything. But they've done something sort of clever here. So, they have this 3D printed foam technology on the inside that they've taken from their Elemento and they've put it in the new Nirvana. What this does is it creates this pocket of air between your scalp and the actual shell of the helmet, and it promotes ventilation through these channels so that air is constantly being recycled. Now, I don't think it's as good as my Utopia Y. I don't know how much that has to do with a white helmet versus a black helmet. If you guys want to learn more about either of these helmets, I'm going to link both of them down in the description. So thanks again to Kask for sponsoring this video. Now back to the content. Yeah, so I do end up hanging on to this featherweight power-up. Now, I was confident at this point. The way that first climb went, I felt really good because, look, we're at a point in the race. We just went under that gate. I am foregoing the option of getting another power-up. The reason is, and we're going to have like I'm going to have 3 more opportunities before the end of this race, but I want to hold on to this featherweight power-up because I'm afraid I'm not going to get another one. I think that it's so much more important than the drafting bonus, so I'm going to hang on to it. Ideally in this front group until we hit the bottom of the last climb. Let's see if that actually works out the way I want it to. And despite a few more efforts to try to sneak away, we all kind of resigned ourselves to this is going to be the final selection. This group of 7, or was it 8? Something like that. Coming into the bottom of the last climb. Look, we're 4.3 kilometers from the finish line. I know everyone's just going to go absolutely bananas up this climb. So this is the reason I hung on to the featherweight power. This time I was a little bit smarter about it, right? I used it earlier on when it's steeper. Learned my lesson on that first one. And I just need to stay with the lead group. That's my goal coming over the top of this climb. I don't have to go crazy, try to get a solo gap or anything wild like that. And we're doing so much power. I was doing over 600 there for a moment. Which is why when this guy on the green bike here, the guy we talked about earlier, when he rolls away, I'm like, you know what? 9 watts per kilogram is a bit too much for me. I don't think he can hold that all the way to the finish. Famous last words, right? But honestly, like I don't think that's a sustainable effort. So I am just going to like back off. I don't want to absolutely blow myself up in order to close that gap down. There are 6 other looks like there's 1 dropped rider. There's 5 other motivated riders behind who I think are going to help in the effort to bring him back. And actually, with just 3.7 kilometers left. Let's see if I can take this all the way to the finish. Because if I remember correctly, this was a couple of days ago. The finish of this race was pretty exciting. I said I'm backing off, guys, but I'm doing 540 watts. Still a lot of power. And Guy still has a 4-second lead. So 4 seconds over the crest of this hill. He has a lot of flat and a lot of downhill, which is where a group really has their distinct advantage. If this was just a climb all the way to the finish, if this was a 4-kilometer climb, I would not have let him just roll off the front like that, because it's kind of every man for themselves. Drafting doesn't mean anything. But as we come over the top here, keep your fingers crossed for me. We need a drafting power-up is what we're looking for. And we don't get it. So that kind of sucks. Oh, I'm texting at the same time. Help. I'm playing the game, guys. Because I realized I'm stuck on the front. Everyone's watching me ride. We didn't get the drafting power, but it's not the end of the world. Of course, that would have been ideal with the downhill and the flat run into the finish. And, of course, for the sprint itself. But what are you going to do? Can't win them all. I do get a little bit of help here. Oh, actually, I do get a lot. CK, shout out, brother. 7 watts per kilogram. So, lead rider, 4 seconds. Just tick down to 3. So we're we have him on a leash. Of course, now I'm doing this effort to close down. We needed this group to be a little bit more cohesive. I do remember being frustrated by this. I wanted us all just to kind of fall in line. It was no fault of CK. He's just doing a hard pull on the front. Now I'm going to do a hard pull. More red numbers on the bottom. We're doing work here because I don't want the Dutch rider off the front now to extend his lead. 3 seconds is okay. I'm playing the game some more. You saw me texting in the bottom left saying help some more. And I just want to make sure. See, this guy who just came past me, a French guy, got in front of me, immediately stopped pedaling. He's playing the game. This is how late race breakaways can win, is when a group just starts playing the game and we play chicken. It's like, no you, and all of a sudden the gap goes out. And he went from 3 to 4, and now I see he's doing orange numbers off the front, up this final little bump. Now is as good a time as any to pop. Yeah, good. Now I thought I did that. Now is as good a time as any to pop the featherweight power up, so I may as well do it. Rider off the front. I see the Dutch rider's now at 4 seconds making orange numbers, and I think this is the moment where I decide I just kind of have to make a move, because if you guys remember, I made a Zwift race video a couple of months back, and this is exactly how I lost. So I decided just to come past this front rider with a head of steam, the end of my featherweight power-up. I have a little bit of gap. I have a 1 second gap to the riders behind and a 3 second gap to our Dutch friend off the front, who must be tired at this point, right? He's got to be tired. So I'm going to step on it. I'm going to make my move. This is kind of a roll of the dice here. Probably the safer, more sensible decision would have been to stay with the group, because, again, we still have over a kilometer left. He must be tired. This Dutch rider must be tired. Now I get to rest, right? I'm yelling at the screen for super tuck, but I think I was already in this guy's draft. I think the rules are you don't super tuck when you're in somebody's draft. Let me know if I'm wrong about that, guys. But 1 kilometer, and I'm in the front group. I've done it, but at what cost? Look at all the power I've done, all those red bars at the bottom. I need to recover here, but I'm looking back. I'm like, we have 3 seconds with 800 meters to go, about to be 700 meters to go. There's no way, right? It's going to be between us. So I kind of back off, and this was the mistake that I made, because not only do we get caught, all those guys had all this leftover energy, plus they had probably power-ups. We're going to see it in a second. This rider just comes blowing past. Now I'm panic chasing with 500 meters to go. This is my nightmare, you guys. The timing is so bad here for me. I'm just blowing the finish. And now this rider with the drafting power-up has been waiting in the wings. He comes blowing past me. He's making less power, but he just timed it so much better, and he saved his energy. And I am so... Look at me in the bottom left. I'm just so desperate. I'm using every muscle in my body. It's just too little, too late. So we get beat. We roll in for second. And, guys, I made record number power in a Zwift race. Isn't that wild? Once you gamify something, I'm so competitive, it's hard not to go super hard. I did 476 watts normalized for almost 6 minutes. That's a lot of power for me. And yeah, I think I have done a little bit more power, but really stoked on where we're at, especially considering it's just December. Okay, so let's talk about the numbers. 34-minute, 32-second race where I averaged 313 watts of average power, which is about 4.3, almost 4.4 watts per kilogram. And I normalized 364 watts of power, which is about 5 watts per kilogram. With a maximum power of, no, I didn't even crack 1,000, 983 watts. Good numbers. And it's not a flex. Like, I still lost, right? It's just a reminder that just because you have the power doesn't mean that you have the win. You have to back it up with good strategy, which I did not have in this race. I was frustrated, and I actually hopped in to another race identical to this one an hour later, but I've been doing a lot of talking, so we're going to save that for the next video. I raced it completely differently. Congrats to Ireola on the win. And thanks for watching. Get subscribed if you guys haven't already. If you want to see more of this Zwift content, especially throughout the off season. Thanks for hanging in there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.